on here, but there we go. That seems like a sufficient lead time. Hello, everybody. If any of you are watching, we had a few technical difficulties with a few different things, but everybody's here now, and we are excited to play. We're going to go ahead and go from my left, from what I see on my left, to the right to do the introductions. I guess I'll start, though. We'll go with that. My name is James from Tabletop Terrors. Though you can visit the website tabletopterrors.com and check out what we've got. And we also launched Absolute Tabletop today. Oh, I opened my own video, so I started to hear my own stream, and that was the most confusing thing ever. So, yeah, you can visit absolutetabletop.com to check out some really cool stuff we've got brewing. Head over there and see some pretty awesome stuff. I will be DMing a game today in the world of Dragongrin. That's the Tabletop Terrors homebrew campaign setting. And, yeah, hopefully it's a lot of fun. So, Cassie, we're going to start with you to introduce yourself and tell me what character you're playing and whatever else we need to know about your character.
So I'm Cassie, and the character I'm playing is Eden Heather Breakers. She is a paladin and a noble, but just a knight. And from her background, she comes from a family that were known for transporting pretty much ice to other areas of Dragongrin. And their family has since risen to some form of nobility. And I can't wait to play her.
So the echo is my sound coming out and going into Cassie's computer. James, do you have a spare set of earbuds or something? Because I super never have to do that. I usually in the bag. I usually play where you're sitting, and I'm in my own little.
So, exactly. Sorry, I get the luxury of the DM's chair today. But yes, in that red bag, there somewhere in there is a set of earbuds.
Got them.
All right.
So sorry for all these technical difficulties. It's been some kind of a day, man.
Yeah, man.
Good day. A really good day.
Yeah.
This is the most technical difficulties we've had starting a game since we started playing online.
Yeah. So yes, Cassie, it would be great if you started over after Tim plugs his headphones in, and we will go from there.
This is tangled like a Portlandia sketch. Hold on. Yeah, me too. But they. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, that one.
Yeah.
Yep.
See what I did there? Hold on. All right. I'm good to go.
So again, my name is Cassie, and I am playing the character Eden Heather Breakers. She is from Barnholm in Dragongrin, and she and her family used to harvest ice, and their family has since grown to a form of nobility, and she is a knight and also a paladin class. She is very tall, she always wears a breastplate, and she's pretty awesome. So I'm so excited to play her.
Awesome. All right, so we're going to go over to you, Mike.
Hi, I'm Mike. I run the channel Mike the Piper, and today I will be playing Neath Fallen Oak, a human ranger. And I am definitely very excited to play, and I'm very excited to be part of this awesome channel, Tabletop Terrors game, and I look forward to playing. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, sounds good. All right, so on to Tim. He gets to say all the same things I did, but better and louder, so go for it there, bud.
So I am Tim. I'm the other half of Tabletop Terrors, and I'm really excited to play. What a lot of people don't realize is in our home game, James is usually DMing or I'm DMing, but I love our family, but they're very casual. So I've never gotten to play in a game consistently where James is the DM and I can actually role play, and vice versa, and kind of bounce stuff off of each other. So this is really exciting. I am playing. Oh, and we did launch Absolute Tabletop today, which is something that we're very proud of. But I'll jump into saying that I am playing a character right now by the name of John Key, and he is a he is a cleric, and I'll leave it at that. I'll kind of let the character unfurl as we kind of role play.
Awesome. All right, so we'll go over to you, Tony.
I'm Tony. I'm from the channel T the Writer. I do the show D&D Stories, and I got invited by T3, Tabletop Terrors Tim, and his brother James, to do, it gets very confusing, T3, T, and then Tabletop Terrors.
Yeah.
And I am playing as Cryptbreaker James, human rogue, who is often tasked with creating tombs for wealthy families, and when the money dried up, because how often do you actually need to build a tomb? Once every 500 years or so.
Yeah.
He instead became a regular grave digger, so kind of an average Joe.
Awesome. And it is, I think, very poignant that you happen to mention that right now, because that's where we're going to start our adventure. We are beginning this very first session of what will be end up being a 5, or we plan on 6 session campaign. And so we are going to begin by following Cryptbreaker James. I'm going to pause before I say everybody's name, because I'm going to try really hard to remember them and say them instead of your real names that I actually know. So we're going to be following Cryptbreaker James, and he finds himself in the northern area of Innis. So in the world of Dragongrin, this is our sort of high fantasy area, or rather more normal area. We've got some crazy stuff going on, but this here is where some of the more D&D-ish stuff happens, and we take a few less liberties, we'll say. By the end of that game, that probably won't be true, but I digress. So here we are. We are following the human rogue, Cryptbreaker James, and he has recently been given sort of a tip, maybe a map or something, but he has been led to the northern part of Innis, to an old cathedral that dilapidated doesn't even begin to describe it. The thing is, rotting wood, but somehow there's still stained glass. But it's nearing nightfall, and he is creeping up to sort of the front doors of this place. And yeah, so if you want to go ahead and jump in, Tony, basically tell me what that looks like.
A Cryptbreaker James is probably going to approach from the front, as cathedrals are often meant to make one feel small, depending on the religion and the high ceilings. Could I perhaps make a knowledge religion to figure out maybe the patron deity or pantheon?
Absolutely, yeah. Go ahead and roll that for me.
Okay. 18.
Awesome. Well, judging by the very obvious religious symbols, you know this to be this is a temple of the goddess Core. I believe it's a goddess. Let's see here. I don't think I know how to spell that. So I don't actually have my player's handbook like I hoped in front of me, and I realize now that I had that name wrong. There's not a goddess Core, is there? Well,
You're the DM. You tell me.
I was gonna say we're gonna go ahead and roll that into this. So you know this to be a temple of the goddess Core. The goddess Core is an elven princess, a high priestess that was known for allegedly sort of having a romance with the moon. And it's one of those things where, of course, the moon is himself also a god, and it is basically a lesser-known sect of a very small elven deity. But, as you were told, despite it being very dilapidated, it is in a very off-the-beaten-path area, and you were told that there was probably something of great value there. You're not exactly sure what. But yeah, so you're gonna potentially creep in here, and like I said, tell me how that looks.
Okay, I will head up through the front stairs, hope that the doors don't fall off their hinges as I pry one of them open, and kind of take a look around.
Awesome. So as you go in, this door creaks open, and this cathedral is very empty. there are you see a large sort of great hall, and there are a few hallways off to the sides. And from the outside, you saw that this is very much nestled against the woods. So the sides, there are stained glass windows, some broken, some still there, but the ones that are broken, some trees and vines are sort of coming through. And as you get further into the back of this, we'll say 50-foot cathedral, very large, grand cathedral, it gets more and more sort of foresty, very overgrown. So by the front, it looks like old and rotten, and definitely, it's seen better days. But as you get further in the back, it is overgrown. And so upon opening the door, you see a very large altar, like I said, about 50 feet to the other side, and you imagine that is definitely where you would find some of the best treasure.
Excellent. All right. Well, I have no reason to suspect, boiling acid traps on holy ground, so
Exactly.
I will just wander straight up the aisle and see what is what. Is the pulpit still there?
Yes, there is a pulpit. There are a set of stairs, like very small, maybe 3 stairs that go up to a small stage area. There is carpet. Where carpet once was on the floor is more patches of grass and dirt as you get this far back. And like I said, it's very overgrown here, like roots crossing the ground. And while there are a few sort of side areas of this church that potentially maybe somebody could live in, the idea is that, yeah, it definitely seems like nobody's been here. But what I want you to do is I want you to make me a probably investigation check or perception. Basically, it's up to you. I want, basically, you're looking for treasure. I need you to make a check to see if you see anything that might be worthwhile to you.
Okay, investigation it is. 18 again.
Awesome. Well, the fact that you rolled so well, you definitely realize that there is, behind the pulpit, there is a bit of room, sort of a stage, and it butts up against a wall. And there's an odd part of this wall that seems a little different than the rest of it, almost as though it's false. And you can tell sort of that it's there are on either side. You can tell that this is something that seems like it opens. Now, to your trained crypt-breaking eyes, you see this, but in general, it's not something that most people would notice, especially with such a high roll. So you're definitely you're going to go ahead and, I imagine, and assume that this is where you would find some treasure in such an old place that probably everyone has sort of gone through once before. Now,
Okay.
While that's happening, there is actually someone else in the temple as well, and I have your names written down. I know what my brother's name is, but we're going to call him John today. John, as far as you told me, this is a temple that you generally stay at. So how do you react to somebody walking in up to the pulpit and potentially poking around?
So from further back, where it's probably pretty overgrown, you just sort of hear a scruff old voice that says, "I would say, Core bless you,
Ah!
but I think you're going to be disappointed. But if you find anything you like, you can keep it."
Who's there?
My name's John. I'm a cleric of Core. Ish.
Cleric-ish.
Well, as you can see, this is in very good repair, so it's about the best I can do, and it's about the best I deserve. So I think at this point, if you can find anything back there, and you can have it.
I see. Keeping an eye on the stranger, could I please run my hand around the outline of the door to check for airflow?
Yes, absolutely. And upon doing so, you realize that this area that you're, of course, hoping is hiding some treasure, it's, like I said, it's sort of a false wall, and it's butting up against the forest. You can see through the broken stained glass window behind you that some of the forest is coming through, and you even see some large spider webs that don't seem to surprise you. You know, in a forest as dense as that, generally there are spiders or other things similar to that web spinning creatures. But in general, you can tell that this false wall, you can't immediately see how it moves. There isn't any airflow, but basically you can tell there is a sort of something here, but there's no immediate mechanism or obvious way to move it. There's a very thin crack on either side of this maybe 3 foot across wall. That yes, go ahead.
I don't suppose you know how to open this, do you, John?
You're muted, bud.
I didn't even really know it was there, to be honest with you, but I can. And John holds up his hands to just show that he's not holding anything, and you can see that he's salt and pepper hair and not really armored, like maybe half armored, like a Spalder, you know. And I can come over and give it a shot.
And so, seeing the wall, despite there not being any obvious way to open it, even with such a good perception roll and knowing many crypts as you do, breaking them, it would seem as though your only course of option here would probably be to break it. It's just a wooden wall, but there's very clear that there's something behind it. So you could conceivably try and break it, but of course, John may have something to say about that. He may not.
So John would actually go up and he would get close enough to Cryptbreaker James so that Cryptbreaker James didn't feel threatened, sort of giving the visual cue of like, do you mind if I approach?
I gesture invitingly.
By the way, the name's John. As you can see, I'm not really good at keeping the place tidy, and I would just extend an old kind of weathered hand to shake your hand.
Oh yes, of course. Shake hands. Probably reach a little too far. Kind of grab his forearm and that like hero clasp kind of.
Sure, and it would feel familiar to me. Like it would kind of light up my eyes a little more. You'd see that they're a striking blue even in this darker cathedral.
And as you guys are exchanging pleasantries and potentially deciding what you're going to do about this false wall, the door begins to creak open and somebody else comes in. And a very tall woman in a breastplate is entering the cathedral from the opposite end. It's very far away, 50 feet, but the very large doors make a very eerie sound as they creak open as she walks through.
And John would not be surprised by the eerie sound.
There's a very distinct clinking sound coming from her too when she walks in, but not the sound of money, but actually the sound of this elegant and deadly halberd just lightly tapping against a wooden and metal rimmed shield that she carries on her back. And she stands in the doorway for a moment, holding a few coppers quietly in one hand, and she kind of rolls them around for a second. And spotting the other two, and able to just make out the distinct kind of cleric. Do you have robes, I imagine? Or no?
It would be the shadow of what could be robes. Like if you caught a cleric in day clothes.
He's a plainclothes cleric,
Right.
And she just kind of stares blankly. She has not been here since she was very young, when her family would regularly make routes delivering ice, but also stopping at various churches and donating a few of their funds, and just being very, helpful to the various religions they come across. Since they like to travel.
I lean over and whisper to John, "Is today's service?"
And I would ask Cryptbreaker James, what day is it?
Enough.
Rolling a D8. It's Sunday.
Yeah, We might get some folks in here today, but no one dressed like that.
Almost a little angry, but more just surprised. What on earth happened here? Just what? How could this go into such disarray?
Cryptbreaker James sidesteps as clearly he is not associated with the church. She might have a javelin on her, I don't know.
So John, sort of, he's standing there talking to this burglar. He sort of, puts on his Sunday best for a moment. Core be with you. Please come in. May I get you something from the fountain?
The fountain looks rather dry. She mutters as she comes in, but she gestures politely and says thank you regardless. And she looks at John, this time with much less accusatory. I don't remember this temple, this church, being quite like this. How long did it take for it to truly just become so decrepit?
And so, John, depending on how long you have been here, you would know that this church, definitely anybody could tell that it has seen better days, but it seems to have declined greatly very recently. It seems to have, sort of been okay, not so bad. People would come, but then as soon as people stopped taking care of it, maybe something happened that it definitely is just a bunch of woods still barely standing almost in the middle of a forest, and it rarely gets visitors.
So I know what I would say, and I would say it as earnestly as it could sound, and something like, unfortunately, it was like this when I got here.
And so upon, well, go ahead if you'd like.
Okay. Well then, I suppose, since you still seem to dedicate your life to this place, take some coppers and hopefully maybe, better yet, take a few gold pieces. Maybe you could do something with it to help this place.
I would like to make myself actually roll persuasion to see if I can hide my excitement at the fact that she is going to give me some gold right now out of nowhere.
Just walks through the door, give you some gold. You know how it is.
So I give a knowing look to Cryptbreaker James, basically like, if I could say with my eyes, if you play it cool, I will split this with you. So I'm going to do that. Let's see how well I can hide the fact that I'm like, my eyes turn into dinner plates when she says gold.
Oh, so, I know thieves can't. You could try that.
Okay, so with my roll, I rolled a 17, and right now I'm gonna do I'll do performance, which okay. Which with the together would be a 19. And in that, I do happen to know like a broken sort of thieves' cant, probably from back in the day. So, Cryptbreaker James, you would probably, it would be like hearing someone speak in like 1980s slang as an adult. Like, yo, this whack chick, like just sounding totally out of place. But what I would say to her is, thank you for your blessing to the church, for the sun always shines on those with gold, and those with gold who giveth, the sun also blesseth. And I kind of look at James.
I pinch the bridge of my nose.
Oh man.
If you'll pardon me, I am excavating with permission. And I have a false wall to look at, so if you two can converse, I will be over here behind the pulpit.
Yes. James is here to help with some of the repairs we're looking into. The townsfolk haven't been much help, and we're in a situation where he's willing to look into possibly renovating the place a bit. So go on, James. Go about your business.
So while he says that, and of course, just as you're about, excuse me, to get back to what you were doing, you hear a sound, and Mike, I would like you to tell me how Neath comes in and what that sound is, whether it's something crashing through or you coming in or whatever it is. How do you get here? Why are you here? And what does that look and sound like?
The old man's words rang true in my head. The bow is an extension of your body, but the arrow is the extension of your will. Use the arrow to prove and shoot what you must, but kill only what you need. And as the words kept going round my head and the bow straining against the sinew, the deer deep within my eyes. The bow is my body, the arrow is my will. The bow is my body, the arrow, and whew, the arrow just flying straight through the air, going right for the deer, just aiming, 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 and at the last second, thwack, the tree. The deer, sensing it, runs off. Ah, bloody hell, not another one! And I go running off. The deer shoots past a few. Running, jumping, looking. What the bloody hell? Who puts a bloody cathedral in the middle of a bloody forest? Bloody hell. And as I knock steadily on the stones, the rot of the stones becomes clear, that it begins to disintegrate. Well, you've been here for a while, old girl. Oh, bloody hell, a door? Right, well, hello! Smashing down on the door. Oi! Is anyone in there? And the door. And I kind of peek in, and seeing the three people. Oi! Have you seen a deer run past?
I kind of look back and forth between the paladin and the cleric holding a crowbar. I'm like, I'm supposed to be here. I've not seen any deer.
Nah, mate, you're fine. I get it. You're robbing the place. Don't care. Have you seen the deer? Don't care about whatever it is you're about to smash down, carry off. Hey, nice armor, by the way. Looks
Robbing the place? I thought you said, what is it? Nope, not excavate.
Excavating?
What are you doing? What is going on here? And she pockets her gold again.
I actually have a letter for this. I pull out my letter from a dead colleague.
And so this dead colleague, this letter, outlined that there are potentially some old writings that you're looking to find in this particular temple, but the reason you specifically came here is because they're old writings that somebody was willing to pay a lot of money for. So basically you were sent to find a book, but maybe there was some intrigue because, like you said, it was a dead colleague, or maybe it had something to do with the fact that generally old books aren't worth quite as much as your contact is willing to pay. So it definitely interested you.
Holy Scripture doesn't do anybody any good if it sits in the bottom of a church away from the sun.
I agree with James.
So, if I need your permission slip, madam, here it is.
Eden takes the paper and looks over it, just not really caring. She's just kind of being a little nitpicky. She looks really closely at the signature, kind of purses her lips.
Now
she hands it back, and she turns back to John, and she looks him up and down for a moment. I know a cleric when I see one. I guess. My duty is still to give to the church, so here you go. And she hands over 15 gold.
And I look at whoever just walked through the door, and I go, now she's a deer.
Well said, lad. Well said. Um, you been needing an hand or something? My dinner just ran off. If you like, I'd come give you a hand or something.
Well, I could use a little extra muscle because I don't see how this false wall is going to come open. Maybe we can use an extra shoulder.
And
Yeah.
so with that, if you guys would like to help him, you would definitely be able to, with a high enough strength check, hopefully budge this wall. So basically, this wall is maybe 5 feet high before it begins to hit what would have been a stained glass window. So it's wall, then the empty hole where a window was, and nothing but dark forest beyond that. And then on either side, about 3 feet, is are the very small seams that you were able to catch being a crypt breaker yourself. So is there a specific way you guys would like to go about this? Are you going to try to knock it down? You want to try to wedge something in there? You want to? What are you guys thinking?
Well, given that there's a window above it, this would probably lead outside if we were to just smash it, so we might try to just pry it open if we can.
Okay, and
Or-
you mentioned having a crowbar. Yeah.
Or just walk around to the other side, right? Instead of smashing a window.
I'm a little too old for this, so I'll just go ahead and make sure that everything's okay in here, and you young bucks can go ahead and take care of whatever you're taking care of.
Okay, I'll offer the newcomer either a shovel or a crowbar, his choice.
I'll probably take the crowbar.
Okay, I'll put the shovel close to the ground and gesture that he put the crowbar about shoulder height and see if we can't pry open the section by force.
Oh, yeah, mate. Yeah, no, that's a good idea. By the way, name's Neef. Pleasure. I was just here out hunting. Didn't really think much of it. What do you think's behind this wall, anyway?
Well, given that the other side of the wall is outside, I'm guessing trees, but if we pry it open, it might be a hidden panel, something hidden inside the wall.
Oh, right, it's a good idea.
What would you like, Mr. DM? Raw strength? Athletics?
Yes, if you, unless you're doing anything other than simply prying this open, if you would give me a strength check, and if you are helping, I'm going to remember names one day. If you are helping Neith, then you should give me one as well. If everybody else is watching, then of course, that will be fine.
That would be a 16 for health.
Awesome. And how about you, Tony?
I got a 12.
Awesome. Okay, well, so, correct me if I'm wrong, you had the crowbar, you had the shovel Neith, and you had the crowbar crypt breaker.
Other way around.
Or the other way around. Gotcha. All right. So, okay, yeah. So, the shovel doesn't seem to be doing much good against this, but the crowbar has found purchase, and you're able to sort of shove it in there. And what happens surprises you because it looks like the wall would. It looks, very much like wood, and well, it is wood. But the idea is you get it in there, and it's beginning to buckle, and it seems like you would be able to open this false wall almost like a door, and the wood splinters. So sort of a one whole panel comes off, and from the side you're on, it's difficult to tell that this is wood all paneled together. At some point it seemed like this was very well painted and filigreed, and being behind the pulpit, it was definitely beautiful. So by sticking this crowbar in there, it breaks. And when it breaks, what happens is there's a few of the boards come off, and you are surprised to see the deer that you were hunting goes darting through. So he comes from the outside. This has now opened outside, and a large gust of air comes in, and the deer that you were hunting begins to run past you at a sprint.
Oh, there it goes.
I would quickly grab an arrow, try to lead the target, but realizing that the deer is pretty much making its way into the woods, just kind of Ah, you know what? Honored prey. And I slam the arrow back into the quiver. He ran with honor. He was better than me. If he's better than me, definitely deserves to live. Well, doesn't look like this was much of a go.
Well, what you do realize is upon breaking this, it does lead to outside, as you said, and there is a small courtyard that was difficult to see with the trees growing up over where you couldn't, sort of the window is broken. So through the stained glass window that has been shattered more or less, branches are coming through, and now that you've broken this, there is a small, maybe 2-foot area that you can see through, and there is a small courtyard that goes out, and it's sort of flagstone and very much the overgrown. But again, you could tell that this was once a very beautiful garden that sat behind the cathedral, but it's not immediately obvious why the wall was put there and it was more or less boarded up. You know from having seen the other sides of the forest that it would be difficult to get to the forest, or sorry, to the garden area any other way than through what was potentially a door before. So this has very obviously been boarded up, but in a, I don't want to say sneaky, but it was hidden more or less. This is what you would consider a hidden door. And so now there is a path that goes out, and after about 10 feet, there is a large, what looks like just a hole in the ground, but you imagine at one time it may have been a well. And there are paths that from there continue beyond, and it would go to the left and to the right. And Eden, you having been here when you were younger, you remember this to be a sort of area that you always wished you could go. You always saw, as I said, there used to be a door where you guys have broken through, and it was almost like a sacred garden that some of the higher priests would go. You know, it's like when you see a judge's chambers in a courtroom. You always see the door open, and you can kind of peek in there, and then it closes, and you probably wonder what they're doing in there. But you never get to go yourself. In this case, like I said, it was a very beautiful garden, and during the day, you would see the sun shining through the leaves. Now, right now, what you see is, again, it's becoming a little thicker with some of the spider webs that you saw sort of coming through, and it's very overgrown, and it is nighttime. So what would you guys like to do? You, of course, Crypt Breaker, are still looking for something that resembles something of value.
If possible, since, this is a place that she hasn't been to for a long time, she would totally want to explore it. Is it possible for her to fit through there if she does like a little army crawl kind of thing? You said.
Yes. Well, it is. I may not have been clear. Basically, what happened was these were vertical slats, sort of.
Okay.
So the idea is you've made a small doorway. You would have to sort of go sideways to fit through, but yes, you definitely could fit through to get to the other side.
Okay. So I'd have her just take her halberd off so that she can hold it and maneuver it through the small opening and go to the courtyard.
Okay, so she goes into the courtyard. What would the rest of you like to do?
I know that halberds aren't meant for wood, but would you mind? I kind of gesture to the boards that are still in the way, because I don't exactly have a heavy weapon or anything to not have to reduce this entire thing to splinters.
Yeah, okay.
She looks at her halberd and kind of frowns for a moment, but she goes back into the main room and just tells everyone just to give me a little space here. We'll get this done. And using the axe side of it, she does a big slash from the top right of the slats down towards the middle. Almost reaching the middle, and then she does another slash pretty much from the left side down, trying to hit that same spot, and then with the butt of her halberd literally just smashes at that point where the two lines connected. And hopefully it's weaker there. Should I just do it strength?
I would actually go ahead and say that it is unlikely that you will need strength. You realize once you swing the first time, the wood is a little soggy and old and rotten, and now that you've now that it's been separated, it almost was pressed in between, and when what looked like a false wall, it was really more of the slats beginning to show on either side. So when you were trying to pry what seemed like a false wall, it was really just shoving a crowbar between two pieces of wood that were built as a wall. You know, you're just trying to break a wall down. But as soon as you start swinging your halberd at it, immediately it sort of just begins to fall apart, and you get those little bits of dried wood and wet wood just kind of going everywhere, and maybe even some critters crawling out of the wall or otherwise. Now, this does make a lot of sound. The interesting thing that you realize is it's sort of quiet there. You know, you hear the sounds of the forest. You suddenly begin swinging your halberd and destroying this wall, and then you no longer really hear the sounds of the forest. You know, maybe there were frogs there before, and you know, other like sort of cicadas or other things, but suddenly the forest has grown eerily silent.
I would quickly grab an arrow, knock it, but not draw the bow back. Be like, oi, little bird, maybe just come back here for a second, eh? Something's not right. You made a bit of noise there. So, just take things nice and slow.
I suppose. And Eden, this time more cautiously, steps out into the courtyard. Usually she doesn't really care about the sound because she's had to swing her halberd around a lot and usually things quiet.
So John is probably noticeably entertained. This is the most that's happened, which anyone who knows a cleric and their temple would probably notice that this guy is probably a little too eager for all this to be happening. Just like, this is pretty crazy. So John would actually just kind of step up and just kind of peer like an onlooker, like looking at the, you know, like a rubbernecker at an accident.
Oh. I forgot what I was going to say.
Oh, that's all right. So what would the rest of you like to do?
I will probably start going like basically foot over foot and just kind of sneaking outside quietly, just scanning the courtyard and the surrounding forest for anything that I can see.
Okay, I believe that this is a group full of humans, correct? Everybody's a human, right?
Yep.
So it's very unlikely that you'd be able to see. The church wasn't lit by much more than, you know, torches that maybe you, John, had lit just to show a little bit of the area so that you weren't tripping over roots all the time. But now that you've gone to the back, there's almost no light. So that is to say, Neith, that you don't see very much. You see some trees. Like I said, you hear a very eerie silence. But other than that, it's very difficult to really make out anything.
Would I be able to light a torch and then fling it about 25, 30 feet in front?
Yeah, absolutely.
As a lighting point? Then, yeah, I definitely would probably do that.
So John is stepping up next to... So I kind of walk out up next to Neith, and I just kind of look at him. Now, at this point, I've grabbed what looks like a dilapidated old kind of walking stick off the wall, and I'm sort of using it. I just say, so you had a lot to say about that deer that you missed. Seemed like a lot. Are you sure you want to throw that into the forest? The torch, I mean.
Oh, mate, you're a real bard. You're a real comedian, aren't you? Besides, you really think you're fooling me with that walking stick? You think you're really trying to pass it off like you're lame? Come on. Look, if we need light, we can't see what we're doing. Best to have a bit of light, so if anything's coming towards us, we can at least be ready. Have a good chance to kill it before it gets to us.
Well, and you're right. And there's a difference between lazy and lame. I've never said I was lame. I'm lazy. Okay, so there's a difference. Now, the other thing is, if you want to throw it out there, that's fine. Just please don't burn down my church.
Nah, mate. It's all right. Besides, condensation on the grass. It's at night. It'll be all right.
All
Gen-
right.
You
gentlemen,
know,
if you like, I can just carry the torch. You know, a mobile source of light isn't unheard of.
I was going to offer that too. You know,
I
then
like
everyone's happy.
I like where James's head's at. So, James, are you willing to take a couple steps out there? I think it's safe. I live here. There's not much going on.
I don't really suspect a manticore to pop out on holy ground, no.
Exactly.
So, if you please. Um,
Oh wait, James was it? I'm
Yes.
afraid since it seems will be sticking around a little bit, I'm Eden, and I'm just picking up everyone else's names as we go.
oh, yes. Cryptbreaker James, at your service.
You
Build
weren't
and...
safe.
No, I always have permission. Remember my letter? I used to build tombs for rich families, and then when the rich families decide they want their heirlooms back, I go in and get them back. They still belong to those families, whether they're dead or alive, as long as they share the same last name, and I have written consent.
Interesting line of work. All right.
Yes, of course. Okay, shall I wander forward 6 steps, I guess, with the torch in hand?
Yeah, so you're holding the torch, and it sounds as though the rest of you are following back into this courtyard. And so, are the rest of you following? Is there anything else anybody wants to do, or are you going to maybe continue down the walkway toward what looks sort of like a well?
I'll go out with him, and I'm still holding my halberd, but pretty casually. Not too-
Okay, yeah.
A halberd is a spear with like an axe on the top, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah, that makes sense. So basically, as you walk forward, like I said, the forest seems very eerie, and what I want you guys to do is if each of you could give me a perception check. Anyone that is walking sort of close to the fire, and if you aren't, let me know, but otherwise a perception check looking around into this forest here.
For clarity, John is in the doorway looking out. I have not stepped outside, and I'm sort of still the bystander, like, oh, what are you guys doing here at my church?
Yeah, okay. All right. So yeah, basically anybody that is looking into the forest, a perception for, what you might be seeing. So it seems as though our hunter, Neith, definitely sees a lot more than maybe the rest of you. Knowing the forest himself and having realized, seeing the spider webs around, you can tell that this forest has been here a very long time. It's very gloomy, and it is also... it seems to be taken over by some stuff that's a little more hostile than your normal, deer living here, or maybe a bear here or there. Yeah, you begin to, at the edges of the light, you see things skittering around, but they are being very careful to stay outside of the light. But you definitely know that, if given the chance, these things may attack you if you venture any further.
And I would probably just kind of hold everyone up and just, look, hang on a minute. We're being hunted. Definitely being hunted. Just,
What's out there?
Well, something is out there, and something wants to do to us what I was about to do to that deer that ran off.
Shoot us in the neck with an arrow?
Something like that. Except with pointy teeth and everything. So, yeah. So, just be ready.
So,
oh,
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, when you said the words, something is hunting us, you would notice that John stands up taller, looks a little less old, still is not fit, still kind of has a little bit of a gut, but looks a little more sturdy, and is gripping the staff more like a weapon now than before. Still looks old, still looks a little rusty, but definitely more of a glint of sharpness in his eyes.
I'll paw around for my short sword. If this guy's hunter eyes say there's something out there, I gotta fish out the one weapon I actually carry with me.
And uh, John, you would notice that I look back and just for a brief second, just there's something in my eye as I'm kind of looking at you, and you would almost tell that it was like just a form of sudden respect and admiration, just a fleeting amount for a moment, and then eyes would just switch back to scanning, looking for whatever this creature is or these creatures are that are going to be coming out.
And so with that, you hear some of the the edges. This torch maybe lights about a 10-foot area, and on either side there the wood is very thick, except for a path that would go through. And while you guys are looking around, what happens is the tree cover over you, something falls down in front of you. So you hear skittering and sort of bushes, and this begins to mount a little more while you guys are looking around, and you can tell, the rest of you can tell a little more that there are things on the outside of the flame here. But what breaks that is when something falls from above directly in front of a few of you, and you notice it to be an ettercap, basically a very weird sort of spider creature, and it falls and makes a very weird sort of squealing sound and runs away from you, having fallen in the light.
James squeals like a woman. I am extraordinarily arachnophobic, so I'm going to stamp that onto James's forehead as well.
Eden, she was a little distracted, just kind of looking at her halberd, while they were walking out there. She didn't really notice any of this, and she jumps at the sight. All of a sudden, this thing just crashes down in front of them, and with the butt of her halberd, pretty much, she kind of tries to just smash at it a few times, missing as it tries to skitter away.
Yeah, okay. And so basically with that, you begin to realize that these things may be a little more afraid of you than you are of them. If any of you would like to give me some sort of nature check, you might know a little more about these creatures and why they might be here.
I rolled a natural 16.
Okay. Nat 17. And in fact, I think John, before all of the, as she was kind of poking at the ettercap and so on, he would actually say something along the lines of, "By the fist of Bryn." And if you're paying attention, you would notice that he used the name of a different god than the temple that he is actually the cleric of.
Can I knowledge religion that?
Absolutely, yeah.
19.
And so with a 19, you would realize, you would just have, you would remember this god. Bryn is the deity of power. And beyond that, there isn't much that you know about it. Bryn is sort of a deity that is a little lesser known to you, but you definitely know that it is, I wouldn't say the polar opposite of the god whose temple you are in, but it is definitely from a different pantheon. And in general, the main thing you know is that they would never sort of meet each other. So you have this goddess Kor, who's a very sort of fluid and filigreous, if that's a word, type of fairy tale-ish type god, where Bryn is the deity of power that the stories are told of, the great battles and wonderful feasts and things like that. Basically, very very different pantheons these two gods come from.
I guess I'll keep that knowledge to myself. So did it get away or did she kill it?
No, it was like a reaction.
Yeah, so basically, yeah, when it falls, if nobody sort of tries to immediately run and attack it, it immediately runs away from you. And you realize now, having seen something, that there are a few here and there around watching you, and from the outside of this fire, but they are not actively engaging you.
Oh, the sounds, I don't like them. Just kind of turning in a slow circle, trying to get the light to go further.
And so, as I said before, in front of you lies a path that goes both forward for about 10 feet. You hit what looks like a well, or maybe just a dried out fountain. It's difficult to tell how deep it is from here. And then a path that goes straight, one that goes left, and one that goes right.
I seems like they don't like the light. Are these really something to be concerned about?
Yes.
Yeah,
And-
for you.
You would know, Neith, that judging by the size, the smallish size of the one that fell, and the fact that they're keeping away from you, while they can be very dangerous in large numbers, ettercaps in general will keep to themselves unless given a great advantage, or these specifically seem to be put off by light.
Well, good news, Cryptbreaker. I've got to say that is quite an odd name for an odd man. You seem like a pretty odd man. So I tell you what, you keep that torch on you, and none of these little bastards are gonna come up and try and bite you or eat you. Don't worry, you'll be fine, mate. Right as rain. Now, if I know anything about these creatures, we just got to make sure that they don't bunch together and decide to make a meal out of us. In the meantime, I said we check out that well, or whatever that thing is, and see what's going on. Something's spooking these things. I'm thinking maybe it's not just about the ettercaps, but it's something more than that, right? Maybe something's spooking them.
Well, I don't feel comfortable leaving the church, but if we're all going to go, I'm not going to stay alone.
After you.
Yeah. Don't worry, James. I think we'll definitely keep you safe, but you just got to keep your wits about you. Just think non-spider thoughts.
Don't worry, Cryptbreaker. And Eden comes to stand next to him and slaps the butt of her halberd on the floor, pretty much squares her shoulders. I'll have you covered for now.
Used to dealing with cadavers and flying spring-trap darts. Spiders, not so much. Usually when I seal a tomb, everything in it dies. Or when
That's
I
a good
open
point.
one. Or when I open one, everything in it is already dead.
Oh, good point.
But yes, we probably shouldn't linger if the underbrush is going to be full of those nightmarish. Yeah. And start slowly walking forward.
And so John would look sort of at Neith, and just on the level, he would just address Neith, and he'd say, "All right, so what's the plan? Are we going to leave here for long, or is this a scouting mission? Are we looking to? I mean, what are we thinking here? Let's keep our heads about us."
And I would say the most important thing is, while Neith may have certainly had something to do in the forest otherwise, he was hunting the deer, maybe just looking for some dinner. Currently, I imagine Cryptbreaker would be interested in whatever it was he was sent here. His interest obviously may be dampened by the sudden spiders that decided to show up.
Oh yes, we're a colleague of mine who is deceased, unfortunately, sent me a letter that there may be something of value and interest buried or hidden here. Holy scriptures that don't often see the light of day. So if I can retrieve them, it would probably be worth it for all of us, at least financially. Perhaps religiously for you. John.
Oh, for me, yes. Yeah, of course. Yeah, that stuff's important to me. Uh, so, yeah, I want the book, or whatever you said, and so Neith, what's the safest way to proceed here? You look like you know your way around, and I typically keep to myself in the church. What are we thinking here?
Well, the only thing I can think of is that if we take torches, right, and put them near the openings of the place, and if we leave them there, well, these little bastards not going to come in. We can search inside the church and we'll carry on from there. At least that's what I'm thinking.
All right, works for me. What about anybody else? Anybody got any torches? There's one in the church we can use. It's about half burnt. We put it in the doorway. I think none of these creatures can get in while we're gone.
I do not, unfortunately.
I don't either. But I am still curious about the well. I mean, I'm gonna check that out somehow.
Yeah. If you guys want to go climbing down the well, we can talk about that. But we got to make sure that we put something in this doorway. All right. Maybe I can find another torch. I got to go back inside the church for a little while, though. I got to grab that stuff, if that's okay.
Oh, I tell you what, if you have just like a branch or a club, I do have alcohol-based black ink.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, I would give you this staff here. Oh, hold on. And James, would I be able to, in the roots and overgrown area, find some sort of something that could make a makeshift torch kind of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. You would be able to find, sticks and different bits of brush strewn about. In general, like many woods, yeah, you'd find little brush and maybe dead branches here and there, and maybe plants that even die because of the thick canopy, things like that. So yeah, you would absolutely be able to find something to sort of make a little torch out of.
Okay, then I would certainly not do a great job of that. In fact, I'm going to roll. Yeah, I'm doing a terrible job of it. Kind of like when you see somebody trying to tie a knot and they can't, so it just keeps coming undone. I'm doing that to make a torch, but
yeah, okay.
I would I was going to say I would look at Neith and probably say, you any good with this this kind of thing?
Yeah, hang on. And I'll probably do the same thing, give him a hand, trying to get things sorted out.
Okay.
What is it, a survival check?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Survival. Can't really think of something else that would apply for it. So yeah, we'll say you're, applying your.
So that would be a 13.
Okay, and I think you could make a pretty good torch. The main thing that this torch will lack is time that it will stay burning. Being sort of brush, it's definitely gonna burn for a little bit, but it's not the safest thing to hold. And in general, it's going to burn out faster than something that's made to burn like a torch. But otherwise, generally it should last you a little while and maybe just be a little more volatile than a torch.
John, pardon my religious generalizations, but can you make objects glow? Okay, never mind.
Yeah, I used to be able to. It's been a lot of years. I haven't really been very active in the church, and my incantations and my spells. I don't have any components on me. So maybe some other time, and I'll try to think about that. So Cassie, especially if you know this church well and you know Core, that might be odd to you.
Well, she visits churches. She's not really dedicated to any of them. It's just kind of tradition for her family that where they go, they stop by the place.
Good thing.
I know, right?
All right. Well, just give me one more moment. There's something I have to grab inside. If you just give me a moment here.
And so he. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say I walk back inside the church just for a moment.
Okay, and is there anything else the rest of you would like to do? Would you like to explore? Would you like to wait for him? What do you think?
Realize how catastrophically silly it was for me to go crypt breaking with no torches.
That's a very good point.
Eden would go kind of to the edge of the light, just squinting and trying to get a better idea of just how many Ettercaps are out there. Is there
And
anything
if
you can
you,
roll?
if you can roll me a perception check.
See if I can do it better this time. Oh, got a 5.
Awesome. So that thing happens where you sort of walk to the edge of the light, and your eyes they just won't seem to adjust. It's like you're just looking, and in the corners of your eyes you can sort of see stuff, but for some reason, in general, you're unable to otherwise, make out anything directly in front of you. So you don't see, in general, though, it doesn't seem like there's too many, or they would probably be attacking you, but you can tell that the forest is definitely inhabited by them, judging by the webs you can also see.
What would an Ettercap even want with the church? Why do we have to block it up? Eden's almost impatient, more interested because she finally gets to kind of check this place out more. And she just doesn't get it.
So John walks outside. He walks back through the doors of the church, and you see that he has a longbow strapped around one of his arms and a quiver of arrows, as well as a much too ornate-looking box, very long and slender, made out of wood that's several different tones and polished. So a very long, almost several foot-long box strapped around his upper torso. Still no armor to speak of, except you also see there's kind of a rusted, bigger spalder on his shoulder. All right, I'm ready. Are we gonna climb in the damn well or whatever?
Wow.
A bow, mate. All right. Maybe we can have a little competition later, eh?
Yeah, that'd be good.
Well, I wonder.
Oh.
Perhaps we should look at the past. First, I know I mentioned the well, but looking at our selection of weapons, I prefer my halberd, and, well, a bow's not going to be a lot of use in a, well.
DM James, I have a Dungeoneer's pack, but I'm having trouble finding the items that are inside said pack. Would that include torches, maybe?
I know that one of them does include torches, and I can look for you because I know that it is in the player's handbook in the equipment section, and I've looked at this particular thing a few times. You said the Explorer's pack?
It's the Dungeoneer's pack.
Dungeoneer's pack.
I'm having trouble finding it, though.
I remember it's sort of hidden,
Yes.
but there's like a small
t-
breakout box.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
you had 10 torches.
Gotcha, okay, so yeah. Well, I guess that makes sense. Yeah, Dungeoneers, it would be on page 151. So your Dungeoneers pack is a backpack, crowbar, hammer, torches, a tinderbox, 10 days of rations, water skin, 50 feet of rope.
I apologize, everybody, for not knowing my stuff.
Oh, no,
dude, no. Yeah,
no.
we're all sort of new to fifth, and it's pretty rules light around here. So yeah, we're just about.
Exactly, yeah. I looked that up in the book because I think most of the classes get one of these packs, and I always have to look up exactly what's in it because it's never quite obvious enough.
Okay, well, then I will unholster that and pull out some torches. I just remembered I usually save this for when I'm underground, not used to crypt breaking outside, and show them that I've got a nice handful of torches.
Oh, look at you. Ha. Well, I'm glad you remembered. I kind of look back at my terrible job that me and Neef did making these like branch torches. It looks pathetic.
And yeah, by this point, it's basically just a branch that has begun to burn down, and it certainly led some, gave you some light, but it didn't do much for anybody. It was outshined by the actual torch.
I knock it down. It's just here, if you don't mind.
Oh wait, we could throw that old one down the well, right? That one that you were just.
Sure.
By
That's a
that
good
old
idea.
one, she means the branch that's on fire.
Yes, the branch. Sorry, we could toss the branch down there, and I should have mentioned this earlier, but I forgot. I also had torches.
Everybody has 2 weapons and 9 torches.
We're getting into the groove. We're getting into the
Exactly.
groove.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, session 1. So, Neith, now would be the time to let us know about your fire arrows that you have, probably. Like, yeah, I've got those.
Yes, and oath bow. I also just happen to carry around oath bow just for the heck of it. I even got the upgraded 2.0 version, the one that is in use for humans. Oh yeah, no problem. I got this. Twin Vorpal short swords, no problem. And the Tommy gun I borrowed from my 1920s D&D 5e game.
And the Tommy gun.
The Tommy gun, yeah.
Okay. So I guess we're gonna toss the branch down the well.
Yeah, so from where you're standing, basically you guys have enough light to envelop all of you with the one torch, but now that everybody has torches, basically this place is lit up like something that is lit up. This place is lit up like the church would have been lit up in its better days, or maybe if the sun were shining through. So now it is very...
Ooh, are there sconces?
There would have been sconces in the church at some point, and there's probably 2 or 3 still inside the church that maybe are still connected to the walls out of the many that were there, maybe hanging sideways, things like that.
Oh, good. I'll put up 3 torches.
Okay. And so the main thing being right now you are outside. There's basically woods around you. But there are
right.
wooden sconces in the cathedral.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, that's all right. I was just, that's okay. So basically, right now you are in the woods. What would have been a garden before it was overgrown. Flagstones that are a little uneven now. What is potentially a very large well, maybe 10 feet in front of you, and some critters inhabiting the forest.
All right. Since I was so foolish to forget my torches, I will sacrifice one down the, just light up a proper torch and just stick it out and drop it.
Okay, so the main thing being that if you get close enough to look at this, what looks like a well, it is very large in diameter. So we're talking diameter about 5 feet, and it's a little bit deeper than most wells. From where you're standing about 10 feet back, you wouldn't be able to see if there were like maybe you wouldn't be able to see in it, but coming close to it with a torch, you would see that there's actually a set of doors on this, and upon closer inspection on the outside, there is a plaque with an elven inscription.
Ooh, I know Elvish. What does it say?
Okay, and what I would like you to do is I would like you to roll a history check. And anyone else that does know Elvish can do the same thing.
19.
Okay, perfect. So to all of you, it is very obviously Elvish. In the same way, if I see Russian lettering, it's probably clear. But to you, Cryptbreaker, you notice this as this is an inscription of a tomb. So not one that you have done, but definitely a very fine one. You can tell that somebody spent a lot of money on this plaque, and it to you signifies that this thing in front of you, what looks like a well in the ground, is actually a Corian tomb. And they're very much of the earth, and so you know that these Corian tombs are very rarely dug out and sort of hewn like dwarven. They're usually almost look like a mine. They're very much natural. So from your years of breaking crypts, you know this to be a Corian crypt. That would probably be a very good place to hide treasure.
I'll relay this to everybody.
Well, I have a bunch of rope if we need to go down there.
So to give you a better idea of sort of how this works, so you're standing, there is maybe a 1 foot high wall, we'll say, in a very large circle. Like I said, it's about 5 feet across, and it's almost like doors you see on a cellar. So there are 2 handles in the middle, and they're so circular doors, and it's almost as though if you came to the side of an old building where there'd be a cellar, but they're in the ground. So the idea is there's 2 large doors that could conceivably be opened inside the opening of this well, or what would be.
Oh, so it's kind of it's capped, kind of.
Exactly. Yeah, but it's the doors are inset, so from back where you were, it's difficult to tell that there is that there's a bottom. It almost looked like it could have been a fountain a long time ago, but upon closer inspection, you realize these are doors.
Hey, John, who do you bury in a church's garden?
Maybe the church builders? I didn't do this.
Wait, hang on. Just kind of raise my hand a bit. Wait a minute. Wait. Wouldn't you put an head priest or something, somebody that was important to the church, but you bury him on the land? Right? I mean, right?
That sounds
True.
about right.
Yeah. That's what that's obviously what you would do.
Right. Well, if that's the case, I don't know. You think it's some sort of a curse or something on this tomb, a crypt, or whatever?
Not likely. Kor is an elven princess priest sort of god. Fell in love with the spirit of the moon. I don't think she would put any face-melting curses on any of her. Again, like I've been saying, I don't expect anything particularly nasty on holy ground like this.
Yeah, and I don't think it was the person that was here before me. I buried him myself, and it wasn't there.
Shall we check it out then?
Might as well open it.
Okay, is it padlocked or anything?
It is not locked in any way. These doors do look very heavy, and being that they're so large, they're definitely going to be hard to open, and it might take a little finessing because if you can imagine trying to open a door with a handle in the middle that is about 3 feet across, it would sort of be a weird angle. So yeah, they would definitely be some sort of heavy stone doors.
Okay.
Is the crowbar still all right, isn't it?
Oh yes, of course.
Yes. Perhaps if we jam that up, try and get just the edge of it up, so we can actually, all lift it together.
Sure thing. I'll, I guess, hop up on the lip and try to find a good spot with my crowbar.
So you've got the crowbar, and is anybody else helping? You're all human, so I imagine you're of more or less average strength. But as I said, you can tell these are very large stone doors, and they'll definitely be very difficult to lift.
Eden gets next to him, pretty much has her hands ready to hopefully slip under the lip of it if he's able to get it open enough.
Okay.
And I'll also give him a hand trying to heave the door up and around.
Yeah, okay.
And so would John. Interestingly enough, I think this is probably about when everyone would notice about how not muscular, but just big. John is a big guy, probably about 6'5", and just big boned, and so he kind of leans in, and you can see a gut, but underneath some of that flab and so on, and the salt and pepper hair, you could definitely see some pretty big tree trunk arms, kind of starting to lift the stone too. And you can tell he's not very happy about having to do it either.
All right. Shall we roll strength or athletics, or how shall we do
Yes.
this?
So I would like for so I imagine you mentioned you're on the lip, and I can see you using this crowbar to try and open it up. So I would say you are looking at sheer strength, and depending on how you do, I think that both Neith and Eden, if you want to roll athletics to see if you can, depending on how much he can lift it, see if you guys sort of see if you can help him out, basically.
Okay.
And yeah, so I guess John, you're helping as well, and you can do the same thing. But
I rolled a 12, so I don't think I'm very much.
1,
Okay.
2, 3, pull. I got a 17.
okay, well, so with your 17, I'd say that you lift this. So on the first time, you sort of lift it enough with the crowbar for them to get their hands under it, but it does that thing where it quickly begins to like it's a little too close, so it begins to slip, and they kind of move their fingers before they kind of before this large stone door smashes them, and so upon the second try, you have they're ready for it this time, and Eden is able to find purchase, and everybody, after getting a little bit under it, is able to open one of these two very large stone doors. Yeah, and of course, so what you see inside when this opens is there's actually a stairway going down. So being able to sort of half climb in there, the other door might be a little easier to open.
Okay. Go ahead and push the other door open as well.
Yeah, so you push that open, and with everybody's help, you get it. And like I said, there are these stairs going down. You've got some torches that will potentially help you see in there. And as you are all gathering around, depending on where you may have left the torches, the Ettercaps seem to be getting a little more sort of brave, it seems. As you're shying a little further away from the church, you can tell that they may be, you can definitely see more glimpses of them than before. They're beginning to get used to you, and that may not be a good thing.
Were there handles or like rungs on the outsides of the doors?
Yes, they're basically two regular handles that would have met in the very middle, which is sort of what made it very awkward. You imagine that they had a sort of long poles on either side to, when they opened this regularly, would do so. It would be difficult for a person to reach, and one person open this themselves. But there would be little handles on there.
Why don't we, addressing everyone, why don't we shove a torch into each rung so that we will have two lights here so they don't follow us in?
Now you're thinking.
It's a good idea.
Yes. And Eden goes into her own pack since Neith was sorry, not Neith. Since James was kind enough to use his own, and I take out two torches to put in those places.
And John would sort of elbow James and go, "You do this often?"
You'd be surprised.
Maybe I wouldn't.
So, who wants to go first? I kind of put my fists on my hips and survey the group.
I'll lead the way. I've got this. And just a quick question, DM James. The stairs are made of stone. Is that correct?
Yeah, so more or less what you're looking at is fairly, not too steep stairs, a regular set of well-worn stone staircase that goes down into what is basically darkness, the darkness of what looks like a small crypt or tomb.
I would probably take a torch and just kind of put it near the bottom of the stairs, but still on the stairs.
Yeah, okay.
Just to kind of see if I can light up the darkness just before I head down into it.
Yeah, okay. And that definitely does it. It's not too wide a corridor going down. So what you see is at the bottom of the stairs, the room opens up a little bit more, and it's difficult to see past there, but it looks as though it either opens up into a room or it opens to a dead end, and there are ways to go either left or right. But the torchlight is just a little too far away for you to be able to tell exactly what it is. But you can see that it's relatively safe down there.
And I would pretty much be right behind him as well with my halberd.
Excellent.
I'll go ahead and take up the back.
Okay. James will go down after Eden.
All right. So you guys walk down there, and there is, as I mentioned earlier, while some of it is made of stone, a lot of it is very natural. And so it's you go down a corridor, and you do realize that it actually stops ahead of you. So you're walking forward, and there's a hallway left or right, and you can see that it curves around into what would seemingly be the larger portion, like two areas that go around the same thing to a larger room. But it's all very natural, and it's there's roots growing out and things, and it's weird, but you can almost tell that it seems so sturdy yet so natural. You don't get the impression that it could cave in at any time, but it looks like it could cave in at any time. It's a very weird feeling to be under the ground.
And you would kind of notice Neath is a little uncomfortable in this kind of area. Like, definitely, walls are definitely not, at least tight walls underground are definitely not his thing, especially from a time enjoying the expanse of the forest and the land. You think this place opens up bigger? Yeah.
Sure it does. It'll be alright, but we must keep going. Otherwise, we'll just be stuck in this dank corridor.
Yeah, best not to dwell on that, right? I kind of take an arrow and just kind of put it near my bow for comfort. Which way are we going then?
Are there any inscriptions or decorations that I might read that might direct us?
There are, along the walls, almost carved into what looks like, in some areas, a little rough-hewn, and in some areas just very much like dried mud. It's a very weird contrast because these very much unworked walls have some very beautiful filigree in them, some elvish scripts and otherwise very out of place things. But you definitely know this to be the work of a crypt maker for someone, a priestess of someone that would worship Kor. So very beautiful and natural.
This could be tree's blood. I kind of gesture to the filigree bits, like ichor.
Yeah. And so, not necessarily anything that tells you the way, but this seems very par for the course for many crypts you've been in. It doesn't necessarily seem labyrinthine.
I'd say we go right. And Eden takes a moment, noticing that the corridors definitely go on for a little bit, at least a little bit more. She switches out her halberd and instead downs her short sword. She has it out, has her hand on the pommel, and she takes a shield off of her back and just straps it onto her left arm, just in case.
And John would sort of say, I'm not saying we can't go right, but no offense, milady. And I look at Crypt Breaker James and I say, but what do you think? Being your name and all.
I think as long as we don't do any particularly disrespectful, we should be fine. I don't expect to find any zombies down here, madam. But in most Western religions, being that you consult your conscience, the devil sits on your left shoulder and the angel sits on your right shoulder. Therefore, I think going right would be right.
Eden kind of takes a moment to pause at this notion, and she kind of gives a side glance towards the left shoulder as if there was something there, and then just nods, right it is.
Which is actually true. In the early ages, the Catholic Church persecuted left-handed people because the devil sits on your left shoulder.
That's actually very interesting. I didn't know that. I knew that there was some prosecution against left-handed people, but I thought that's just because we right-handed people are better than them. You know, I didn't know that there was a real reason for it.
Yep. So,
Sounds good to me.
So as you venture right, this hallway begins to, it goes forward a little bit, and you're getting further and further away from the entrance. I believe 2 of you still have torches, correct? So the area is very well lit. And as you're walking, the area is very well lit, and you come to what is more or less now just a left turn. It's a long hallway and more of the filigree and whatnot. And upon turning left, it opens up into a much larger chamber that you, Cryptbreaker, would know to be the first in a series of usually 2 or 3 chambers that get progressively almost more regal. For someone that was very important or otherwise, it's almost as though there are tiers. There are a few rooms that lead up to the room where the most important person or the most well-respected person would be buried.
This tomb is for more than one person, then.
Yeah, it would seem as though it was this person and maybe followers, or you sort of know that it would be almost, I don't want to use the word cult, congregation more. It's not just a tomb to one person. It is almost a communal tomb.
Yeah, most religions would bury a lot of people in the same tomb. But.
Exactly. And it is definitely a sign of how, not necessarily important they were, but how well respected they were in the congregation where they ended up and what things were around them. Now, the most important part about this first room is it has definitely been plundered. There are, tables and things, and you can tell that this was once set up very nicely, but in general, it's, a tomb that somebody's robbed already. A lot of the more interesting stuff is gone, and toward the other side of the room, there is a door to the next chamber. There's a door to the next chamber, basically.
Oh no! I kind of paw around and check. How are the coffins arranged? Are they placed in the walls? Are they sitting out in the room?
Yes, it's very much a large open room, and in the walls are the sort of large plaques, almost, I guess is the best way to put it. But like you said, the coffins are set into the walls. You're unable to see the remains, but you can see that they were people were buried sort of 3 by 3, more or less. So long ways, there's 3 up and 3 across. So there's 6 total, and there's an inscription on each. And again, from your knowledge, you can tell that this is the lower end of the spectrum as far as how important things are.
Someone's been here before us.
Yeah? Recently?
And you can tell that it doesn't seem like it was recent at all. It seems like this, not only has this crypt been here a very long time, but it hasn't been full of riches for a very long time.
Looks like someone forgot to lock the door on the way out.
And with that, you actually hear a very distant sound of what sounds like 2 very large stone doors closing.
Oh no.
Oh, crap.
You better start looking around for that, whatever your letter says, pretty soon.
Little ladder caps couldn't be moving in a big door like that, huh? Well, wait. Did that come from behind us or in front of us?
You can definitely tell that you expect that the doors you came in are no longer open.
Oh boy. Well, given that we are not pursued by Amazonianly strengthed forest spiders, maybe there was a timer on it of some sort. Maybe for rain or for certain alignments of the moon. You never know with these religions.
Exactly. It's definitely a possibility.
You'd know better than we would. I mean, that sounds plausible. I've never been to this part of the church before, even though I've lived here for some time.
And why would you? You're not dead.
Precisely.
I don't want to be the downtrodden one of the group, but I'm just saying that there's a very good possibility that somebody closed the doors on us, and quite possibly is down here with us now. Just
Kind of slowly turn and look back the way we came.
And it looks just as dead as it did when you walked down it yourself.
It might sound a little brash, I suppose, but, well, I would rather meet something head-on if there's something coming after us, rather than have it sneak up behind us. Perhaps we should take a look-see.
All right.
And you see John sort of roll his eyes like, yeah, you're right. And so he takes that sort of wooden box off his shoulder very quickly. And so if the bow is kind of affixed to his left shoulder, he kind of pops that wooden box off quickly and sort of lays it down. And again, it's like a modern musician taking his guitar out very quickly. He kind of pops open the box, and from it, he takes two very shiny, very new-looking longswords. And he kind of takes them out, and now he's just this big 6'5" guy holding two longswords.
Cleric of Core, huh?
Yes, something like that.
Be my guest.
And if you can, I would like a perception check from all of you.
Nat 20.
Oh, wow, okay.
wow, and I was really proud of my Nat 19.
Well,
Had one of them.
you guys can definitely hear very well. The cleric is a little too busy getting his swords out of their fancy box, but the idea is that you're listening very intently and you expect to hear something coming from the way you came, and instead you hear some almost the pitter-patter of feet and a weird clicking sound on the other side of the door furthest from you. So the door into the next room. And you hear some shuffling around, and then it stops. And you don't hear anything else anymore.
Oh, just a quick question. How big is the room that we're in, roughly?
It's about 15 feet by 15 feet. It's a large square. There are the sort of areas for the dead lining the walls, and there were shelves and things in other places around the walls holding treasures that have now been plundered.
Alright, I'm gonna have her just, if it's okay, can I have her switch back to her halberd?
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah. So upon hearing that, you can take your halberd out. It is a fairly large area. It's a very roomy crypt as far as crypts tend to go.
So, I guess one of us needs to open that door.
And go ahead.
Just gonna say, I guess it's my turn. And I would look around at everyone and just sort of ask with my eyes and shoulders like, is that what we're doing? Are we doing this?
And I would grab an arrow and kind of start pulling it back a bit. All right, mate, you and those pretty long toothpicks of yours, open that door up. Let me see its pretty face. I'll put an arrow through it.
Check your targets.
And I would turn and look at James, and I would just kind of, if it's spiders, you can run. But please, don't lock us in here.
Given the weight of the door, I don't think that'll be a problem.
So I would approach the doors, sort of both swords in hand, kind of going up, and I wouldn't check on anything. What sort of door is it, and how could I open it?
So this is a fairly simple door, it seems, from this side. It is very sturdy-looking wood. The moisture of that has taken over the cathedral doesn't seem to have gotten very much down here. So it's a sturdy wooden door with iron bands around the top and the bottom, and a more or less a regular locking mechanism that with a handle on it. It's a door. Nothing really that special. Set into the wall that is very rough hewn.
Is there a light source that I can see under the door, or is this also a dark room?
It is difficult to see any light sources because I think there are 2 torches around you.
Okay.
So in such a small room with the torches, it's hard to see, but you definitely know that you heard something on the other side of the door. And if you didn't, you can tell that your comrades have reacted to something there.
Sure. So the door opens inward or outward? I didn't catch that, sorry.
It actually will swing either way. It opens and it's, you can tell that the hinges are just, it swings both ways.
All right, so you see John sort of like with the grace of a very seasoned guitar player who might effortlessly just play the strings. Just sort of like flip one of the swords quickly and, kind of tuck it into a sheath that you didn't see was there. And then open the door slightly. Does anything happen? Because I have plans to slowly, not kick the door in, but slowly push the door open with my foot.
And you would definitely be able to do that, and it wouldn't be... So as you're pushing the door open, what is everybody else doing? So this door is, standard about 3-4 feet across. What is everybody else doing when this happens?
I am dual-wielding torches, because if those are spiders, I'm going to be useless.
Okay.
Eden's just at the ready with her halberd in hand, and she just looks pretty psyched, basically, about whatever's on the other side of that door. And she just has a really stupid grin on her face.
And so basically what I want to do, Tim, is I want to see, and this is going to sound stupid, I want to see how well the whatever is on the other side of the door reacts. So I feel as though the best way to do that would be to roll initiative, because I feel like an athletics check wouldn't necessarily handle your... Actually, you know what? What I want you to do is I want you to give me a dexterity check, because we will go into an initiative order very soon. And I want you to explain what you're doing. You said you're pushing the door open with your foot while holding your swords?
Sure. It's the reverse of if you've ever put your foot on a door to hold someone out, kind of like where you're putting your foot at the bottom so that it can't open at you.
Yeah.
I'm sort of doing the opposite. So I've, sort of sheathed the sword quickly and then am just pushing it with the bottom of my foot, maybe the heel or something, so that I can then take my hand, put it back on the sword, and slowly see, what's going on. I am going to make that dexterity check at a disadvantage because I'm on one foot.
Okay, yeah.
First roll's an 11 unmodified, so...
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I'm going to be at a 6.
Okay, so in that case, the most important thing I would say is that while you're opening the door, depending on what your comrades are doing around you, I guess, basically... you see this creature at the same time it sees you. And while it does have a small knife in its hand, it doesn't seem as ready to fight as you are. And so I'm going to make the same here, because that makes sense. And though it does react faster than you, upon opening the door you see a wingless bird creature in no armor, and it makes a very... almost startled squawk at you, and then it sort of charges you recklessly. So you're opening the door, it charges you recklessly, and I think now is a good time to roll initiative.
Wow.
I did that again.
So Alrighty, so we have, I'm going to remember everybody's name. We have Cryptbreaker at 19, and then we have John got a 5. His dexterity is apparently very low.
-1.
Okay, it is. I was sort of kidding, but alright. So Cryptbreaker 19, John is a 5, we have Eden at a 9, and we have Neith, right? Neith, yeah, I was right. Neith at a 9. And so, of the two of you, Neith and Eden, because you tied, who has the higher dexterity?
I have a 17.
I got a 16, so it's all you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so in that case, I will just, for initiative order, put Neith ahead. So, Cryptbreaker, you are going to act before the creature. We're going to roll. Okay, yes, just barely. So you are going to act before the creature, and then everybody else will act after that. So the idea being that, depending on exactly where you are positioned, there is John in the doorway, pushing it open, almost being ambushed, and what would you like to do, Cryptbreaker?
Can I see enough to make an identification?
Yes, you definitely notice this creature to be a kenku. It is a flightless bird that generally likes to hoard treasure, and it's difficult to tell, but something tells you that this might be a good place for it to live. It decided to live underground, and it reacted in such a way that was as though you went into its house.
Okay. I will position myself. I guess at John. I will position myself at John's 5 o'clock and pass my turn, as I am holding 2 light sources.
Okay. All right, and so in that case, it passes to the kenku that John has charged at you and is going to more or less try and stab you with a small bladed weapon in your face. So it's just both arms above its head, very recklessly running at you. And wouldn't you believe it, I'm rolling my good dice tonight. He rolls a critical failure. So what I'd like to do is I want you to tell me how that goes, despite your dexterity not being super high. Timbo? Yeah, there you go.
So I think what I would do is I feel like, and I'm trying to think of making it realistic, but I feel like the way I would do it is I'd kind of just be like, damn. Like more annoyed than anything else. Now, is he able to actually move me? You said he was charging me when we first talked about it. I mean, yeah. I'm a pretty big guy, and he seems like a pretty tiny little bird.
No, this is definitely just a swipe attack on you. So the door opens, and more or less the first thing you see is a rather frail-looking bird creature, arms above its head, horror movie status, trying to basically stab you. He's not. You wouldn't consider this an attack. It is definitely he's reacting quickly.
So then I would just kind of, and I would say this, I'd be like, with the look of, I'd say, hey, relax.
He has already tried to attack you, and he rolled a critical miss. So while you could tell him to relax, it's basically mid trying to stab you in the face. So you'd have to make some move to get out of the way or stab him or otherwise, But basically, this creature is hostile toward you and is definitely trying to murder you.
Okay. So, I think what I would do, you're saying it looks frail and small. I'm trying to react realistically.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is the idea is it's a bird creature, so while it is definitely a threat, the idea is it wouldn't be able to move you. It's not as big as a human, but it is still fairly quick and does have a weapon. So I guess frail and small were poor words to use.
Oh, okay. Because I'm thinking this as a big guy. If he's like, hey, and he's making this gesture as though I'm coming into his home, like you said, I would imagine. But you're saying he's definitely well.
Yeah, no, he's attacking you. So while
So I would do as has been suggested. I would like do the hold its head, like do the kind of hold its head thing where I might even drop one of my swords and just put my hand on its head and hold it back while he's like trying to swing at me. Just do that, and that was at the suggestion of T the Writer. He said, "A la Dark Helmet."
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm like holding it surprisingly, like I'm just like, oh, come on. You know, he's like, ah, you know.
Yes, and this creature, having missed you, basically swipes and entirely is off balance. You're very easily able to do that, and he has more or less missed you.
Okay.
And so then it goes to you, Neith.
And I survey the area, and I survey the bird and the birdman, and I kind of just close my eyes, and in my head again, the old man speaking. Let the pulse of life not escape your notice. Listen, but listen with your perception. Listen with your wisdom. Let it flow out, and you can see. And when he opens his eyes, he can almost see the sound waves echoing off of everything, the scratch of the bird's feet as it kicks up, and most importantly, the beating of its heart as a small pulsing wave. And as he just reaches back his arrow, knocks it back, and then just stares straight at that circular target, that perfect target. And I will fire using the sharpshooter feat and aim directly for its heart.
Perfect. Okay.
And that would be a 15.
Awesome. Let's see. Yes, that definitely does hit. But yes, you hit him squarely where you're aiming, and roll damage for me.
Okay. One thing that's great about the sharpshooter feat, you get that plus 10 to damage.
Okay.
Holy crap.
What's even better is when you just roll an 8 on a d8.
Yes, yeah. So
that's basically 21 damage.
Yeah, so you can basically, this thing charges at John, and John more or less tries to sort of just stop its approach, and basically I want you to describe to me how you effortlessly kill this thing.
As soon as I let the arrow go, I look at this pitiful creature that's attempting to attack John, someone who very quickly I kind of feel a bit of a connection with. And as the arrow just kind of spins through the air, I just breathe the words, "I'm sorry, mate." And the arrow just kind of spins and just perfectly pulses right through that sound, right through that pulsing heartbeat, right through and straight through the back of the creature, even pushing him away from John as it kind of sinks to the floor and almost sticks to the door. And I kind of just move my arrow down, and I kind of just bow my head a bit. And I just mumble a few words, and that's it.
James looks over incredulously and goes, "How did you miss the deer?" That was amazing.
Well, I don't exactly do everything like that for game. Game I respect. But something like this, I don't know what this is.
A tomb robber.
Well, I don't like it. Looks like some sort of bird thing.
And go ahead. Sorry.
Looked like it was crying out for doom or something. But that's neither here nor there.
And so what I would like for everyone to do is give me a perception check.
I'm going to use my passive perception because I don't think that I would be looking.
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
So I'm just going to give you that, which would be a 12.
Okay. And so, really, basically, I imagine that, with all of this happening, especially those of you that did not act, this would happen very quickly. But what you would realize, Eden, is that you're not alone in here. And it begins to occur to you that this creature is oddly out of place. He definitely would be a tomb robber, but from what it looks like, he wouldn't be strong enough to himself open the crypt doors that you guys struggled so much with. And like I said, you begin to feel the presence of another creature there, almost seemingly sitting at the edges of your perception. Every time you turn to look, it's not quite there, even with as high as a modified 19. And with that, there are 4 of you. So, with that, I want to say all of your real names. Cryptbreaker. With that, and especially having said what you said, what I need you to do is I need you to give me a dexterity check, please.
Okay. Saving throw or
Oh yeah, saving throw. Sorry, yeah, saving throw.
a 5.
Okay, and so more or less without very much ceremony, the rest of your party, after witnessing the death of this Kenku, very easily dying, a creature seemingly appears behind you and just takes a very large chunk out of your neck, and then vanishes. And you actually take 8 points of damage. And so a almost large cat-like creature, appears behind you, takes a very large chunk out of out of your neck from behind, and then seemingly poofs into dust again. And then we actually continue in initiative order, and it's your turn, Cryptbreaker.
Okay, I obviously scream out in pain and just kind of pinwheel forward. Something got me from behind pretty cleanly, so I'm just going to not really ballerina spin, but I am holding 2 sources of fire, so I'm going to spin as I move forward in case it decides to press its attack.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. And so basically this creature has seemingly disappeared from where it was, but the way you swing the torches, the sort of fire dances around the room, and Eden, you see it crouching in the corner furthest from you guys, and it seems ready to strike again. And it is back to you. Actually, Eden, did we skip you?
Yeah, I didn't do anything.
Okay, so then we are going to... Oh yeah, because we sort of went out of initiative order and then I attacked him, so I guess that wasn't him. So it is your turn. Sorry.
Okay, let's just keep going. Okay, so immediately as I finally get a more decent glimpse of this thing as it's crouching in the corner, hold on, just making sure this is right. Okay, so as a quick action, I guess, I cast Hunter's Mark on this thing.
Okay, yeah.
Especially after I see just how fast it is. There's no way I'm going to let that thing get out of my sight. And
what does that do for those that don't know?
Like the DM.
Hunter's Mark. You choose a creature you can see within range, which is 90 feet, and you mystically mark it as your quarry. Until the spell ends, it can last up to an hour. You deal an extra 1d6 damage to the target whenever you hit it with a weapon attack, and you have advantage on any wisdom, perception, or survival check you make to find it.
Okay.
Oh, crap.
Yeah,
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Well,
T,
especially...
Did you think of World of Warcraft like me right away when she said Hunter's Mark? I immediately thought World of Warcraft.
Yeah,
there was another one I was thinking of where you make the creature glitter for like 5 rounds. so
Oh
it
yeah,
can't
okay.
so it can't hide in the dark. That's another mark, but I forget what it is.
Well, and yeah, I will say that that is actually a very helpful ability against a creature that seemingly teleports around. So you see in the corner a what looks like a well-muscled panther that is almost sort of shrouded in what looks like smoke. You know, it's the shape of a panther, but it seems a little ethereal. And it is your turn to continue acting. Did you want to move or anything else? I think your mic's muted.
Because it is. So I think basically a red brand in the shape of a tear would just show up on its forehead, basically, so it's very clear where this thing is, especially against the black body. And she, once casting that, she has her halberd in her hands again, and she just wants to go in with a big old slash, if
Awesome.
possible.
Okay. Yeah. No. Absolutely. So this creature is, maybe 5 feet away from you, but especially with the reach of your halberd, you could definitely take a swing at it. So roll attack for me. And the hunter's mark, I will need to write down what you get, but I know you get a bonus to nearly everything.
Yes. Well, I unfortunately got a 4.
Oh, okay. Well, in that case, you do miss. I think probably even with your bonus, but I did want to know what it is.
All right. So perhaps while she's casting it, she also tries to step forward towards it and just kind of doesn't quite have the grip on her halberd perfectly just yet because she didn't realize in a split second that it was really that close. So the blade of the halberd just kind of flies over its head and just smashes into the ground next to it. And immediately she just tries to back up a little bit to get a little more room.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, you see this creature now that it's marked. It almost seems as though it's not as easy for it to dance on the edges of your perception, and even the rest of your party is having an easier time keeping track of it. And so, in true initiative order, because I think I messed it up there a little bit, it is actually back to you, John.
So you said that with with the actions that have just gone on, we can see this sort of muscled panther-like creature. All of us saw this just quickly, but you said then it disappeared in a cloud of smoke, or it's still in the corner?
Yeah, so basically what happened is it attacked Tony. It attacked Cryptbreaker and then teleported into the corner, and that is when Eden marked it, and now it is almost as though it's easier for the rest of you to keep track of it. So usually this creature would do well with hit and run tactics, but you are now able to, you're a little easier. You can see it in the corner, basically.
Perfect. So with my free action, I pick my sword back up. So now I've got both swords in my hand. And then I take the sword in my right hand, and I bring it across my own, and this is for flavor, but I bring it across my own robes or vestments that look oddly like they don't fit. Like now that you can see, they're a little small in some ways and look like they maybe belong to a more obese person. But I sort of cut the robes off, just revealing my whole upper shoulder, which is scarred, gnarly scarred, with all these pieces of metal kind of still stuck in it, almost lightly scarred over with my skin. And this, for anyone who would be familiar with the ways of clerics and different things, this part of me is my real holy symbol. And so I step towards the beast, and I say, "By the fist of Bryn, may we win this night." And so what I'd like to do is I would like to take a step, if I can. I would like to step within my 25-foot movement, close enough to hit. Would I be able to do that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, so you, by the power of Bryn, more or less go toward this thing, and you basically got it cornered, and yeah, you can make an attack.
Perfect. So the way that it works is I actually have some levels of fighter.
Okay.
So I actually am a dual wielder, and I am a human, so I took the alternate feat. so that I can actually dual wield heavier weapons than usual. So I have 2 long swords, and so what I'm doing is I'm going to attempt to attack, basically as my bonus attack, I will do my second attack. So I'm just for flavor, I'm doing them both at once, like just this flash of, you know.
Yeah, so go for it.
So the first one, 12.
Awesome. That does not hit.
Okay. So I imagine that as I go into the dark, I'm rusty, man. I'm not as cool as that might have looked. I'm a little portly. My hair is salt and pepper. I'm a little out of step. You know, I think I'm looking cool and I think I'm killing it, but I'm not. And the second one's a 9.
Yes, and so being lower, no, you don't hit it. But the important thing is, swinging at this beast, it's you do feel a little bit rusty, but you can tell this beast is very adept at dodging attacks. You know, it's almost as though it's good at making itself seem one way and another being smoky. You know, it is hiding its true form. You know, sort of. It's a hard thing to hit. So upon doing that, we actually go to the creature's turn. Now, what happens here is you all, now that it is marked, can tell where it is. This creature does very well with moving around and stuff, but that actually makes what happens next more interesting, because what happens is, despite the fact that you guys all sort of have eyes on this one now, it seemingly attacks you again without moving. And what you realize is that there is another one. And it is now behind Eden, and it is going to make an attack against you. It does not hit with a 10, but basically, so when everybody sort of turned toward this other one, it attacks. So bad with names. It attacks Crypt Breaker. And when everybody turned, this one basically came up behind you, Eden, and attacked. But it jumped on your back, very similar to Crypt Breaker, but its teeth didn't quite sink through your breastplate. And then it sort of disengages back on the ground. And again, it has the very ethereal look, almost phasing in and out. And then it goes to the other creature, which is now going to attack you, John. Alright, so I'm retiring this dice because I rolled a 1 again. So this thing tries to attack you, of course, and it almost seems disoriented, by the fact that you can keep such good track of it. And it definitely does not hit you. So then we go to back to Crypt Breaker. You're up.
Okay, well, I got tagged in the back of the neck, so I'm no doubt soaking through the back of my shirt, still holding 2 sources of fire.
Yeah.
Am I within easy melee range of either of them?
Yes, I would say you are within range of the one that just attacked Eden.
Okay, well, I do not have dual wielding, so I will use my dominant hand to use the flaming torch as an improvised weapon. What would you like me to roll for that?
Awesome. Well, I would say roll a d20, and you can, I would imagine, just add strength to that. I guess like a normal weapon, you'd add proficiency. I guess you're not used to swinging a torch around, so maybe not, huh?
No, I got a 6.
Yeah, okay. All right. So in that case, I would say that you definitely, you do miss the creature. But you can tell, like, many creatures, especially ones that are good at hiding, it's not a big fan of the fire.
Okay. And I think that's my turn.
Okay, yeah. Is there anything else you want to do?
Can I attack twice?
Not attack twice, but I thought if you wanted to drop one of the torches in the room or draw a weapon or something, you're able to do something else. Step away. I don't know. I just wanted to give you a chance to, do something else just in case you wanted to, because that's all.
Nah, I'll be the consistent light source, so nobody gets confused on what's where.
Oh yeah, that's perfect. So then it goes to you, Neith, again. And please, if I go out of order or something, let me know. Well, you went, and then it was John, and then Cryptbreaker, and now Neith. So you're next after Neith.
John.
John is Tim.
So, yeah? Okay.
Yes. So I think, does that sound right to everybody?
It does, for the best of my knowledge.
Okay, just making sure, because I'm good at messing that up. So yes, you go ahead and Neith. There is one currently engaged behind Eden that had some fire swung at it, and there's one in the corner, more or less engaged with John.
So the one in the corner that's engaged with John, that's the one that has the hunter's mark on it?
Yes.
So I would probably turn to the one that is trying to attack Eden, and I would quickly kind of reach into my satchel, and I would grab like a small dried leaf, and I'd kind of crush it in my hand, and I'd think really hard, and then stare at this creature that's attacking Eden, and I would just stare and stare and stare, and the more I would stare, the harder I would clench my fist, the leaf just turning to dust, and then finally I'd stare at it and just point at it and say, Noras, and just the powdered leaf just blows off my hand, and just it seems to stick to this creature, and I'm casting Hunter's Mark on this one as well, and just it starts to kind of just glitter with this thing, and just kind of, then I'm like, all right, mate, now I can see you just fine, and I just grab an arrow, and I just quickly take a snapshot at the little guy.
Yes,
big
and
guy.
yes, with that, this creature is also easier to see than it was before. It's almost like you can make out its form a little better, and yeah, go ahead and roll attack.
Oh, hells yeah. Modified 19.
Oh, perfect. All right, that definitely hits. So after your wonderful description of your hunter's mark, what does it look like taking a quick snapshot at this panther-like person?
As soon as the glittering just starts to fleck over this creature, it's almost like a breath, and just as time just seems to slow down, just the arrow's automatically in the air, in the bow, drawn back, and just a bit of a smile as it just lets go and just sails through the air, and I'm just smiling at this thing, and as I let go, I just kind of give like one little finger gun back and just kind of point it at the creature and that would be 9, 10, 11, 12 damage as the arrow just sinks right into its flank, and hopefully gets pushed off of Eden.
Yes, there's definitely a yowl, and again, it's almost as though the creature is used to easier fare, like say a kenku that's trapped in the tomb. And yeah, again, this creature is very confused by the fact that you're able to see it as well as you are. So is the DM. So with that, it goes back to you, Eden, to take your turn. I'm gonna let Kiara out of the room.
Well, James lets our cat in the room. Yay. I'll wait for him to get back.
There, she's just clawing at the door.
Of course she was. So, suddenly seeing this panther behind me just lit up, I just kind of smile knowingly and try and take a moment to... Can I do a check on what they are now that we can give a better view of them?
Yeah, absolutely.
What is that? Knowledge nature?
Yeah, I was going to say a knowledge nature, and honestly, the rest of you can, being able to see this creature a little better, you might have a better idea of what it is.
All right.
Or knowledge arcana, maybe, if they're magical.
Yeah, and that's very possible, but really it's you, after having seen it potentially, seemingly be in multiple places at once, and the way it's a bit ethereal, you know this creature to be a displacer beast. And yeah, so basically a very lithe-looking panther that in general, seems to teleport around its enemies. You've heard stories of these ravaging hunting parties, and the stories always seem to talk about how many there were, when in reality usually there's only one or two, though it seems to the hunters or whatever prey there are maybe 5 or 6. It's not usually a very even fight with 1 or 2 displacer beasts, unless you have Hunter's Mark.
So now, yes. So Eden will, I think she's still near the first one that she marked, correct?
Yes, yeah, yes. Yeah.
Right, so she's just gonna try and attack it again.
Yeah, okay.
So let's see. Jeez.
Are you not rolling any better than I am?
Not really. What do we add the proficiency bonus, I think?
What are you doing?
Well, to your attack, yeah, it'd be strength and a proficiency. But it should be
Okay.
on your sheet.
Okay. That's not bad then. Alright.
So right down here.
Sorry. Oh, the plus? Like
Yeah,
the
so you're
attack
doing
bonus?
a regular attack.
Yeah.
Yeah, your attack bonus is the
So
strength and the proficiency.
Yep.
Oh,
And
okay.
then you add yours.
So I got a 16.
Awesome. A 16 does hit, and again, this creature moves out of the way, but almost a split second too late. When you come down on your halberd, how hard do you hit it?
Let's see, and I have 1d6 extra, since that's... Wow, okay, 16.
Awesome.
Wow.
All right. Yeah. No, that is lots. Okay. So you begin to see, your halberd comes down on this one, and you take a gash out of its flank. Very muscled, and this halberd comes down, and it's moving out of the way, but you definitely give it a good-sized gash on its side, and it begins to bleed a black liquid. And with that, if you don't want to do anything else or move, it will go to back to John.
I'm all good.
Awesome.
So the concept for John is that he is actually a retired, older adventurer. That's kind of the angle that I was going with. And he's literally lost levels. Like, I imagine that back in the day he was like a level 10, but just sort of gave up on the whole thing. So the reason why I'm saying that is because I imagine that he would know, once it's kind of become evident what's in there. He's been around. He's seen these kinds of things before. I think he would know what it was, even if he couldn't remember the name.
Yeah.
Like,
You can remember the stories.
Yeah, just like, oh, not this. And so, with what happened with the last one, just sort of whiffing, I would imagine, I don't know if you've ever seen somebody out of shape do something extraordinary for about 10 seconds. You think, wow, that guy was really fast, but then you see the causality, the aftermath of putting their hands on their legs and like. So I feel like, I've still kind of got it, but you can see I'm like heaving because I'm like, oh, I just did this double swing, and now I'm just like, and I'm gonna try to do the same thing, just now both, except instead of the swinging, sort of like in a roundabout way. I want to just do this double, stab, almost just trying to take the thing's head off, like scissors.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
And so this is the same one that Eden just attacked, right? The one you attacked earlier.
Yep.
Okay, perfect.
All right, now we're talking. Unmodified 18. Does that hit?
Yes, you absolutely hit with an 18.
All right, and if you don't mind for flavor, I want to see if the other one hits first before I...
Oh, yeah, go for it.
So as a bonus action, I make the second attack. All right. That one's a 13.
That does hit.
Okay, cool. So since one was an extraordinary hit and the other one was kind of lower, I think now at this point, it's more of a fed-up thing. Like, I tried to do my old school, like, oh, I used to be good at this, but then I got fed up and I'm just like, and just...
Yeah.
So one grazes while the other kind of stabs. And then the damage on that is... 14 total between the two swords.
Okay. So considering that, basically the way you stab into this creature, one of your swords hits it right in the face, and skins almost goes through the skull, but it catches on his eye, and it just slits open his eye down his neck to his back. And he is very much hurting. The other one that grazed definitely did some damage, but there is a a large pool of blood beneath this thing. It is losing a lot of blood, and you hear quite the sort of, if you can imagine it, incorporeal yelp as you do that, and this creature is suddenly a little more afraid for its life. So yeah, and so I think with that the creatures actually get to act. And John, the one that you just attacked, more or less does its best to get away. Now, again, it is very used to being able to get in and out of situations very easily, but because of the hunter's mark, basically it's going to run away, and I want you to have an opportunity attack against it, because its fight or flight has kicked in, and this one is running away. But you get an attack disengaging, and assuming that doesn't kill it, Eden, you would also get an attack, but whether or not John misses, really, yeah. Alright, so if you roll an opportunity attack for me, Tim, this thing is trying to get away and doesn't realize, especially being so wounded and not as agile as usual, you're getting an attack on it.
Okay. Okay.
Well, basically, it's trying to disengage. So it's
hey man,
you or
I'm not gonna argue.
Yeah. Because assuming you miss, Eden is also going to get an attack. But either way, for flavor, I imagine both of you are going to hit them.
Unmodified 18.
Yeah. So in the same way, I imagine that after your first hit strikes, and these blades come down, Eden is getting into the fray as well, and all at once, all three blades, your two swords and her halberd, come down on this thing, and just you hit it on the spine, especially with the weight of the halberd. It hits its spine, and you hear it crack as the thing's ribcage hits the ground, and this creature is no longer smoky.
He's a mesquite now.
And so the other one, still definitely bleeding, but still very much in the fight, is going to one more time attack you. Actually, no, I don't think it attacked you, Neith, but having seen its, comrade in arms, its animal comrade in arms get attacked, is going to do its best to displace behind you, Neith, and give you a good bite on the neck. And I finally might actually need to add numbers up and expect that I might hit you. 14. I think I missed there.
Yeah, you.
Oh, yeah.
Just misses.
Yeah, okay, so this creature, this beast, almost as a last ditch, it sees its counterpart die. And again, the most important thing is you can tell, especially as a ranger, that this creature is not used to being bested so easily. And then I think after John, it goes to Cryptbreaker.
My companions seem to have this fight well in hand, so given proximity, I will hold both torches in front of myself and try to steer the creature about with the flames so that he comes into the line of fire of my companions.
Yes, this creature definitely will not make any attempt to move any closer to the fire than it has to. So, yeah, so that makes sense. So in that case, then it would go to you, Neith. Right after this, he more or less teleports behind you and misses you.
And almost as one action, as the displacer beast just rears up and tries to bite me, I kind of duck down low. Kind of holding the bow in my left hand, I grab my short sword out of my right hand and then come up almost with all of my weight to try and stab up the creature right into its throat.
Absolutely. All right. So give me an attack on that.
That would be a 12.
And that, interestingly, actually just misses. This creature, it's finally seems to be getting its bearings without having its usual effect on people. Being so. Yeah, basically, you're able to attack this creature but it's getting used to acting like a normal cat and just barely moves out of the way of your blade.
And then I'd probably like turn around, kind of back up away from it, but keeping my eye on it.
Yeah, okay. So in that case, it goes over to you, Eden. You've just helped John absolutely destroy one of these beasts, and the other one is not looking so hot. It's pretty close to you. You're muted.
So is there anyone between me and the other cat?
No, more or less, the Crypt Breaker is not so much between you, but he is basically swinging his torches in such a way that makes the beast get closer to you rather than closer to him.
Okay. Alright. I'd have Eden pretty much maneuver around just a little bit so that when she swings her halberd again, it's not going to accidentally chop it.
Yeah, and in fact, because Crypt Breaker, instead of taking an attack, more or less is trying to steer this creature, if you attack it, I'm going to give you advantage due to the fact that it is more or less trying not to be burned, but may not be paying as much attention to you.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go.
So I roll again, right?
Yeah, basically you roll 2 d20s and yeah, you take the higher one.
Okay, there we go. The first one was a 2, and the second one is a 19.
Oh, wow.
So,
That is
Wow,
like,
yeah,
talk
there you
about
go.
spectrum.
I know. Okay.
So yes, you definitely hit it, and you know it's trying to get away. So what does that look like? Or, well, actually, tell me the damage, and then we'll see what it looks like.
Yes. So D10. All right. So it's just a 6, actually. But Eden pretty much seeing this cat. She just kind of lunges. She goes into a deep lunge, and twisting her hips, she just brings that nice axe side just straight down a nice left, diagonal slash down on this poor terrified creature.
Yeah, so well, seeing how you guys made short work of them, they did quickly become terrified. So upon doing that, your halberd comes down, and it is definitely enough to take this beast out, and it more or less cleaves it, I guess, open. It wouldn't be in half, but I imagine it coming across the chest and just cutting from shoulder down through the ribs and splitting it open. And this creature is definitely dead, and more of this black blood sort of sprays and begins to pool on the floor. And that is the end of combat, because you guys have destroyed them.
Nice, everybody.
Yes.
Yeah, especially with the Hunter's Mark, because it's basically like, oh, you mean that creature I hard counter? Oh yeah, that's the one. That's the one you're attacking. Because I think usually you would get advantage on a creature that that has that, but usually you get disadvantage against displacer beasts. So it's like, well, yeah, yeah. Like basically, it's no longer a displacer beast. Now it's just a beast, but still a pretty strong one at that.
Everybody okay?
Surprisingly, yes.
I would very quickly, I would kind of rush up to Crypt Breaker, and I would just kind of grab him and say, listen, mate, hold on. I reach kind of into my satchel, and I'd kind of grab a leaf, like a verdant, beautiful maple leaf, just gorgeous. And I would just grab it, and I would kind of place it on his neck, and then I would just kind of hold it there, and I just kind of mumble and just kind of close my eyes and kind of like rock back and forth. But you see me kind of pushing, and I'm kind of just pushing this leaf against his wound, and almost as if anything, like the flecks of the leaf just start turning black and flying through my fingers. But I keep pushing and pushing, and I'm casting Cure Wounds onto the back of his neck to heal him up.
Awesome, absolutely.
And that would be a 1d8 plus 2. Do you want me to roll, or T, would you like to roll?
You're the caster. You do it.
All right. Now I'm going to roll a 1, and you're going to feel real silly. Nope. Luckily, I didn't. I rolled a 4, so that'd be heal you for 6 damage.
Okay. Oh, that's so.
And I just kind of slap you both shoulders, and You're right, mate. You're right.
Yeah, I don't usually say things like that in crypts. Yeah, I just yeah, yeah, yeah. I need a new shirt.
Yeah,
I just
right.
thank thank you. I just kind of like pop my neck back and forth.
Not a
Uh,
problem.
I'll set my pack down and start rooting for my clothes.
Did anybody else get tagged? Everyone else is good? All right.
I think you're still muted, Eden.
Yeah, I mute myself when he's talking. Otherwise, you guys get some weird echo.
Oh, I see. I think it looked like you were about to talk.
Oh,
Oh.
sorry.
Yeah. And so, with the blood of these creatures sort of slowly seeping from their many wounds, you no longer feel the presence of these creatures that you seem to feel before, and so you're currently in the first room of the crypt, near the doorway to the second room that held the Kenku, and the displacer beasts came. So I imagine you'd like to explore the rest of the crypt.
Very unusual denizens, a Tengu and 2 displacer beasts.
And you definitely, especially, all of you would realize that in general, displacer beasts have no business being somewhere, but somewhere like this underground, they certainly wouldn't live here. But you also know that they are a lot of times the pets of more intelligent beings. So more or less, you gather that these were some sort of guard dogs, and that putting it all together, you realize that the closing of the crypt behind you was not an accident, and for weaker creatures like the Kenku, definitely means a death wish. So yes, there's something definitely out of place about this.
So I look at James and I say, this better be a great damn book.
I hope so. I'm just kind of rattled because I'm used to dusty, completely silent tombs where nothing moves and nothing tries to eat my neck. Skitters in the darkness. This is all new for him, so he's kind of rattled.
How's those torches looking? You think we should keep going? Yeah.
Yeah. Who wants to? I can't walk around with 2 torches, unfortunately. Who wants to carry the other one?
He's the human beacon.
And I think John would sort of put one of the swords away from his offhand and say, "I'll grab one."
Okay,
Thanks.
I'll give him one.
And
I guess we'll go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think I'll go first this time.
I think you went first the first time. Not that I'm complaining.
So, and then I would look over to Neef and say, "That was some damn fine shooting. Wouldn't mind that again."
You're only saying that because you didn't have a chance to do it, mate.
And so James, the DM, you're saying there's essentially one more room left, yeah?
Well, there's basically 2 rooms, but yeah, you're standing at the doorway of one, and then there is general crypt sort of standards seem to imply that there would be 2 more rooms, the last one holding the best and most prized treasure. And basically, you guys explore without much more incident, but coming upon the 3rd room, walking in there, it's very well lit, and you see that this room does have more treasure in it. Not necessarily, it's more trinkets than, say, like gold and gems stacked up. But the most important thing you see is against the back wall, there is a bookshelf. And on this bookshelf, there are many books, but there is one that definitely sticks out to you.
Oh.
Sticks out to who?
Really, it's the kind of thing where among the books it sticks out to all of you, but especially to Cryptbreaker, who is looking for a book. But it is a very, from what you can tell, it is a very ornate or ornately bound book next to the very normally bound books near it. It is definitely out of place.
Okay. I'll go and pluck it off the shelf and have everybody gather around to get a good look at it.
And this book is very large and surprisingly thick, and it's bound in leather that has been reinforced with gold, that has been reinforced with what looks like steel, and so a very strongly bound, and it has held up better than the books, the rest of the books in here, and you absolutely know this to be the book that you came here for.
Leather, gold, and steel. I kind of shove the other torch over to Eden so I can closely examine it.
Now, the most interesting part about this book is there is a clasp on it, and said clasp has a small lock. And, of course, whoever would like can try and open it, but without that, it will be very difficult to open this book.
I have thieves' tools. Could I try that?
Yes, definitely as a rogue, you could absolutely try and open this thing up. So, going back to the letter that you have,
Yes.
more or less this thing was, this thing is worth a lot of money to somebody, and it would be up to you whether or not you want to open it. They don't say explicitly whether they would want you to or not, but you definitely know this thing is of great value, but it is obviously up to you whether you open it, leave it closed, return it, or whatever you'd like to do with it.
Well,
So, yes,
given that we were attacked by extra-dimensional panthers and bird people in a elven princess priestess tomb to Lord knows whom, I think everyone here deserves to know what this book is and what's in it.
Here, here.
Yeah, and I think that's reasonable. Now, with your thieves' tools, I don't think it's necessary for you to roll. There isn't necessarily stress, and this is a fairly simple non-magical lock. But
Okay.
upon opening this lock, it folds open, and it is a very strong binding. It's got very strong hinges, and while you've seen some books like this with maybe some fancy stuff on them, wrought with gold and other things. This is almost bound more like a lockbox than a book.
Oh.
And I am assuming that you open the book after opening the lock.
Oh, yes, of course.
Okay. And upon opening it, it's a book, and there is writing inside. But the most important part is this book is maybe 6 inches tall, as far as sitting flat. 6 inches of pages stacked. And upon opening it, the pages are more or less, there is an area cut in the middle, and there sits a very large, well, what looks like, you've seen animals' hearts before, but this particular one is made of iron. So, yes, so basically a very large, heavy iron heart, complete with artery, like a very anatomically correct heart sitting in the middle of this book. And the interesting part about it is, looking at the text on the page, the book has been written around this. This is not somebody hiding something inside the book. It is very clear that this is a heart that belongs in the book. The writing is writing that none of you recognize.
Really? Okay, I'll set it on the nearest flat surface so we can all get a nice look at what we suffered so long for.
I hold one of the torches over it, just so I try and take a closer peek at this object.
Oh, it's...
And Neith would probably just reach into his sack. He just kind of grabs a pipe, and upon closer inspection, it looks like a pipe that's made of bone. And he kind of just clasps it and looks around, and just kind of tucks a bit of broadleaf in, and just kind of light it with kind of a flint and tinder. Just kind of light it and just kind of puff away. And any of you know anything about this?
Well, it's
And
not
Yeah,
Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, the most important part is, while you may have seen very fancy books before, this would, seeing this book explains the urgency of the message, and you almost begin to wonder if the receiving this note from your late friend was less than coincidence. And basically, you're going to need to find somebody somewhere to help you identify this book with the Iron Heart.
Are there any indications on the letter where we're supposed to take it, or where you are supposed to take it? Rather.
Yes, within the letter contained is more or less the. I guess it's almost derogatory to use the word fence, but there's a contact that is very interested in this book. They're willing to pay a high price for it. So again, whether you bring it to this person or you get it potentially appraised somewhere else is entirely up to you. That depends on whether he's willing to share the money and if the money is more important than the mystery.
So John would sort of break his silence, and he would look at James. And is this what you were expecting? Did you know this was going to be here?
No. But then again, I've recovered amulets, helmets, magic swords, but nothing so mysterious as this. It's oddly specific, a heart made of iron in a book that can't be read. It's not draconic, it's not elvish, it's not common. I don't even know what it says.
Huh.
Most magic books are written in draconic, since that's the language of magic, so this must predate quite a bit of everything, for all we know. But neither good nor ill, as far as I can tell. This is what we were looking for. And a 4-way split seems fair to me.
Oh, so you guys, you all want to stay together and bring this book somewhere else? Is that what you're suggesting?
I don't see why not.
Well, I'm on some sort of pilgrimage. I mean, I do have to travel. I would certainly like to see what exactly this is. I don't know how long I could give my services to this cause.
Well, I have been offered the wonderful sum of X. Surely 1/4 of X is worth traveling for.
And the most interesting part about the letter is it doesn't actually specify an amount, but what it does say is it says twice as much as I've ever paid you. And that was definitely something that that kept your interest. And so I would say with that decision, that is where we're going to end the session. With the.
Whoa! I didn't say I was going to go.
Oh, well, then you don't
cut
have
her
to.
off her. I thought we were going to have a little bit of a moment there and talk it through. I guess not.
Well, absolutely. Feel free.
Come on, DM.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's entirely up to you guys. The idea being that, I figured we would could conceivably pick up the decision at the beginning of the next session if you wanted. I didn't mean to imply that the decision was made, but yeah, feel free to talk it out if you'd like.
No, we can end it there. Leave it up like on a cliffhanger.
Yeah, basically, it's you can definitely take the money, but
Will John go? Will
we'll
he
see.
not?
Exactly. Yeah, man. We need people to tune in for next time. Maybe Tim's not playing next session. You never know.
Exactly.
That was a lot of fun, though.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, I had a blast.
Yeah, I'm really glad you guys liked it. And I haven't run so far for the viewers, however many, but will potentially still be watching. The idea is that this game is going to run for 6 sessions, is the plan currently. So I am definitely shooting for a finite arc, And so if this felt like a little bit of a slow burn that potentially ended right when it was getting good, well, that was the idea. You met this is episode 1. You meet the characters. They defile a church, and they they come across creatures that they don't usually come across. So I thought it was a very interesting way to start this first session out, and yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed it.
I did. That was great.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun. I'm definitely looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
Awesome. All right. What we can do is we'll go back around, and you guys can introduce yourselves, and then we'll go off air and talk about how much fun we had.
Yay.
All right. What order do you want to do it in?
We'll go the same order we did, so we'll start with you, Cassie, and then go Mike, Tim, Tony.
So, we did a new thing.
Oh, sorry.
So I'm Cassie, and I was playing my wonderful new character, Eden Heather Breakers, tonight. And thank you for tuning in. Check out Absolute Tabletop. Check out all these guys because they're awesome. And thank you for joining us.
And I'm Mike from the channel Mike the Piper. By all means, check it out because reasons. And I was playing Neith, or as I like to say, Neef.
Neef.
Neith Fallen Oak. And I had a ton of fun. It is such a rare pleasure to play with some high quality role players and a great story. I really am looking forward to the next one. I highly suggest you check out Absolute Tabletop as well, and Tabletop Terrors, but you're watching it now, so that just seems like a silly thing. And I'll throw another one out there. Go check out Fauntrodden. There you go. There's another channel. If you want to go check them out, check out Fauntrodden if you want to really delve deep into the niche sort of gameplay. Check them out. If you're not subscribed, then you're crazier than a crazy thing. That's it. I'm out.
All right, Tim.
Oh, sorry. In the order I have, T is next.
Oh, sorry. No. I didn't realize it was different, so I glossed over it quickly. But yeah, it's you and then Tony.
Oh, sorry. Man, I'm killing it this game. So, I'm Tim with Tabletop Terrors, and actually, it's really cool for me because T the Writer is one of the first D&D channels that ever got me into making videos, so it's cool to be playing with T the Writer. But I'm with Tabletop Terrors and Absolute Tabletop, and I'm very excited to play this game in our homebrew campaign that doesn't have to do with the Copper Jackals. I think that's pretty cool.
So, yeah. All right, and it's to you, Tony.
Oh, and I am T the Writer, the only guy that didn't have a webcam tonight. Sorry. And
well, it's cool. That picture looks just like you.
Yeah. And I do D&D stories. So if you guys check out my channel in the next couple of days, if you missed part of this campaign as it was unfolding tonight, you will hear an abridged and embellished version of what has happened here tonight on the next episode of D&D Stories. So keep gaming.
Awesome. That's extra cool because not only will I get to hear it, but I'll get to hear all the really cool inspirations to figure out what I'm going to do next session.
Dude, yeah, that's crazy. Being in a D&D story is like I'm having a fanboy moment.
Yeah, I think that'll be a lot of fun, So, but suddenly there's a lot of pressure on me to perform because I have to make sure I make good D&D stories. So, all that to say that I am James from Tabletop Terrors, the other half of Tabletop Terrors with Tim. You guys should definitely check out AbsoluteTabletop.com. If you aren't up to date on that, every 2 weeks there's going to be a brand new supplement, and those are pay what you want, basically free for the first week. So you got to get them while they're there, and then from then on they're going to be paid. So yeah, you guys definitely check it out as soon as you can. And we're going to be doing this every other week, like I said, 6 sessions. The schedule will get a little bit weird because we are trying to avoid holidays and things like that, but I will make sure to make the event a little earlier next time so that it's not 2 hours before the game that you know we're playing. So yeah, I'd say with that, thanks everybody for watching, thanks everybody for playing, and that's going to be it for us.
Bye.
And Tim, you actually, I think, have to take us off the air. I forgot about that. Yeah,
All
I
right,
totally
everybody. So, may your dice roll high.